So, Lisa, tell me about the 8point8 team and how this company came to be.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen. So here we are. I am Lisa Sabala. This is 8point8, as you can see right there. It's a virtual assistant team. And it started with me as a solo virtual assistant, as most virtual assistants start. And I started I started by providing content writing. That was just my jam. So I stuck there. Eventually, I had clients who also asked me to create slide decks. And I mean, I did a decent job with the design. I mean, I did my best, and then the client was happy. But as a virtual assistant, you really want to give more. So I asked a couple of my creative friends to see hey, can you look at my slides? Are they okay? And then they were very honest and they said Lisa, that sucks.
I did not think that they sucked. Yeah. I never would have said that.
Yeah, but I did my best. But the client was happy though. And then that was when around the time when COVID hit. So I had a lot of friends who lost their jobs. I mean, they literally went to their offices and they were creatives. They were web designers. They were graphic designers. They were also writers and also copy editors. So anyway, they were creatives. They went to their offices and they were told sorry, there's nothing for you here. You have to go home. And then just imagine going home, knowing how am I gonna feed my family? How am I going to make money? Yeah. Right. So anyway, they knew that I already had a virtual assistant business set up, run by solo myself. And they said hey, why don't we just form a team? Because you're really good at content writing, but you really suck at graphics. So long story short, here we are. The 8point8 team became 8point8. And we have a salad of virtual assistants, I guess is how you can put it. We have content writers, we have video editors, we have graphic designers, and we specialize in creating online courses for coaches and course graders. So, and that's what we're doing now. We're helping coaches who want to set up their business and not do everything themselves. That's where we step in, because we want you to stay in your zone of genius.
Yeah. And that's how I found you, because I was the solopreneur. I had created my course. I was doing all of the content myself. I was making the videos. I was doing everything. And I was I can't continue. The longer I continue to do everything myself, the more fast I'm going to burn out, right? Because you can't work 24 hours a day because you're the only person. And so I remember when I first met you, I think I was having you do social media posts for me, right? Yeah. I don't love social media. I'm not particularly good at it. So what if I had somebody else helping me create the content, the graphics that would be posted, the copy that would go in the captions, all of that kind of stuff, and come up with a system to try to automate it so that I was not spending hours a day on Instagram, which was not really my favorite platform.
Not your jam.
Yeah.
But it is necessary for your business. I mean, if you're not on social media, how are people going to find you? How will your potential clients find you? And it's easy when you say, oh, I'm going to post more, or I'm going to comment more, or I'm going to create more graphics or reels. It's easy to say that. That is the plan. But the problem is staying consistent. But here's what we noticed from the clients who we do on board and we work with as their team, because we're asking for tasks, or they said, okay, I want to be consistent and I want to have X number of reels every week, or I want to have captions that will last me enough for 1 month. So they commit to that. And because they have us as their virtual assistant team, or any virtual assistant for that matter, if they had a virtual assistant who would be emailing that person, the business owner, hey, I need the theme for this week. Can you give me the order? If you have someone who you're committed to help you in your business, then you're also accountable to that person. And then that's how they stay consistent. And they didn't even have to write everything. They can just say, oh, my theme for this week is let's focus on delegation or being more productive. And then the virtual assistant that they hire would be doing that for them. So all they're really doing is just being creative. The idea would come from them.
Client is coming up with the idea and then saying, Lisa, make it happen. And that way they get to be in their zone of genius, being this creative force in the world, but somebody else is actually putting it into practice, which leaves them more time to be even more creative. Is that how it works?
Yes, that is exactly how it works. If you have more time not being in the front line and doing the rank work, I would say, you'd have more time to explore other content areas that you can make videos out of or make captions out of. You just have more time to be creative. I mean, you can't be creative if you're burnt out. That's just a reality of it. And if you have more time to sit down and see, what are my content pillars? What's trending these days? You have more time to study what good content to put out there. And then when you have your ideas, you can just jot them down in your list. But instead of creating a to-do list, you can say, oh, these things are the tasks that I will outsource. So you can say, this is my to outsource list instead of a to-do list. And then you can just jot down your ideas. But here's another thing. You can even go up one level, because instead of you coming up with all the ideas, you can even assign your virtual assistant or your team, say, hey, team, come up with a 2 months worth of ideas to do a video or reels or captions or whatever form of content that you're putting out there. And then your team could come up with the list, and then you can just check off, oh, I like this one, not so crazy about this one. So you're being creative and guiding your team. You're being the leader instead of leading yourself, which is
preach, sister, right? I mean, it's so important because we all start almost, I would say almost without exception, everyone starts as the solo business owner. You are the only person doing all of the tasks in your business. And as your business grows, that becomes unsustainable. But so many of us, like I remember when I first started working with you, I was terrified to give you stuff to do because I was like, well, nobody knows how to do it as well as I do. I learned how to do all this stuff, and it will take me so long to explain to you what I want that I may as well just do it myself. And I stayed in that mentality for far, far, far too long. And I remember so clearly one day you said to me, like, honey, you need to just stay out of the database and please let me do my job.
For doing that,
because it's so hard to relinquish control. And I talk to coaches every single day who say, like, I'm a control freak, I'm a perfectionist. What do you say to that, to let them know that it is okay to delegate to someone else, even if it's not done 100% the way that you would do it?
Well, I tell them the same thing you said to me. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. And if it has to be perfect, it will never, ever be done.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, a form of content, video, captions, even your online course, the course that you're building, it doesn't have to be perfect the first time it's released to the universe. And I think to some extent, your followers or your students or your clients understand that your content is liquid because it has to change according to the demands of times. So if you wanted to add like a bonus masterclass because it's trending because of something that recently happened, why not? I mean, you can change your mind about where the course is going. You can change your mind about the videos that you're putting out there, because content is liquid and it doesn't have to be perfect the first time it's out there. Just
agreed.
Like
you know, I just held a conference in Florida last month, and
congratulations.
Thank you. We had about 150 people come, and a lot of them were students of mine, coaching students of mine. And some of them were the OG students who were there the first week that I released this program in 2018. And they said to me, even though you redesigned the whole program last summer, it looks beautiful, it's amazing, I will still tell you that the content that you provided in summer of 2018 was freaking amazing, even though it was not perfect. It was not beautifully filmed. It was not all shot on the same location with the same amazing microphone and the same amazing camera. They said the content itself was so valuable that was the most important thing, not the presentation of it all wrapped up with a big pink bow. And that was so nice to hear, because you know, you pour your heart and soul into this content. And just like you said, if you want it to be perfect, there is no such thing as perfect. And if you wait for it to be perfect, you will never release it, period. I've been to many, many seminars, many conferences. I've spoken to coaches where you think what they put out there was amazing, and they will even say it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So I never thought that you could actually create the course. So how would that work? Like if a course creator came to you and said, I have this idea for an online course, I want to make it, but I don't really know what to do. How could they work with a virtual assistant team to get that done?
So the idea is already there. And it's like you're trying to scoop out whatever's in your head and put that in digital form. And that can be overwhelming sometimes because you're the only one hearing yourself in your echo chamber. So it would really help if you had a virtual assistant who had maybe prior experience working with a coach or an online course builder. Incidentally, that's what we specialize on here at 8point8, and it's what we love to do. So when someone comes to us and says like, hey, I have an idea for a course, here's the first thing that I ask them. What's your favorite number? And then, there's a rationality to this.
Okay, I can't wait to hear what that is.
Or 8 or 9, or they say, whatever it is. I try to ask them, like, what's your favorite number between 1 to 20? Because that's the number of modules that are going to be on your course.
Ah, okay.
It helps them. It helps you decide. For me, obviously, my favorite number is 8. So I would say, okay, I'm going to make a course. I'm going to keep it at 8. If they're not into numbers, here's something else that might help a course creator decide. I ask them like, okay, is there like a special keyword in your course that you want to keep? Like, for example, maybe it's the word productivity, or maybe scale your business or something like that. We pick a keyword and then we make an acronym out of those. And then those are your modules. And then you can just add bonuses when you want to add more content into that. So it really helps you maybe make your course concise, and it gives you a chance to structure your course. So I hope that helps. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting.
Two things were really helpful.
And you know what? I did that without even knowing, because my favorite number is 7, because my birthday is March 7th, and my course has 7 modules. And I didn't even know it. So if somebody has never hired an assistant before, it's almost like you don't even know what is possible, because you don't know. And I remember when I first hired you years ago, I had you doing one thing. And then it was like, oh, can you also do this? Oh, can you also do this? And I think most people fall into the trap of, I, as the solopreneur, learned how to make videos, edit videos, post on social, write blog posts, manage my CRM, send the emails. Like, you learn how to do all of those things yourself. Yeah. And then you try to find a virtual assistant who has all of that same skill set. And that's not really reasonable, right? It's probably one person is really good at graphic design, but somebody else is really good at the techie stuff. And somebody else is really good at editing videos. And you can't expect one person to be able to know all of the skills that you have, because you've been teaching yourself these things to do it for years and years and years. So give me an idea of some of the things that VAs can do. And I think that's the benefit to working with an agency versus a single person, because you can say, well, I do have somebody who's really good at SEO, and I do have somebody who's really good at making slide decks, and I do have somebody who's really good at these things. So give us some ideas of things that people could outsource just to help us expand our thinking.
So whenever I get asked this question, like, which ones can I outsource? Like, which of the tasks do I not have to do? I ask this question, like, name 3 things in your business right now that you're doing and you hate it. Give me the top 3 that you hate doing. And then
answering email, number 1. I hate answering email, posting on social media. I don't really consider YouTube to be social media. I do the YouTube stuff, but I don't love Instagram. I don't love LinkedIn. I don't love any of that stuff.
Yeah, but you have to be there. Yeah.
Right. That's right. So answering email, and the email is because 90% of it is spam. So I spend my whole day weeding through the inbox to delete crap that I have no interest in, just to find the few that are actually important. And what's one other thing that I really don't like doing?
How about video editing? Because it's really time consuming. at once? Like,
it's not that I don't like it, because I do like it. It's just not a great strength of mine. And same with slide decks. I enjoy making slide decks, but am I really good at it? No. So I would say that creative part of building slide decks and video editing, although I enjoy it, I'm not great at it. There are so many other people that are way better at it than I am.
So now that you have your top 3 of things that you that's not your jam, it's not really your zone of genius, those are the 3 things that you're going to post about on job ads, or if you go to a VA board, or if you go to Upwork or freelancer sites. That's the initial list that you want to put there, what you're looking for in your virtual assistant, because you want to get rid of the bulky tasks first, the ones that you're not excited to do, so that you can do things that you are more excited to do. And then once those things that you're excited to do are now taking up your time, that's the time that you can ask your VA, like, oh, look, I also do this, but it's taking me 2-3 hours every day. If I teach you my method, can you take over this task for me? This a strategy, when you're dealing with an already existing virtual assistant in your business, it helps to reduce the shock factor of being dumped, like, oh, here's everything in my business, do this. If you can just start with the 3 things that you're not excited to do about and to do yourself. And once you accumulate more time into things that are in your zone of genius and you're ready to scale those, that's the time that you introduce that to your virtual assistant. Because if you can train this person to be as accurate and to have the discernment that you have successfully cloned yourself. And imagine not having to pour your time into doing those tasks, then you can explore and expand your business.
I love all of that so much. So that leads me to, how do we effectively train our assistant? What is a really good way to get all of this knowledge that we have out of our head to share it with the assistant so that we can clone ourselves? Because that's definitely something that I have struggled with over the years. Is I know all of this stuff, but it's all in my head. It's not documented anywhere. How do I tell someone else how to do all these things?
Believe it or not, you can just screencast everything. It doesn't have to be a Zoom call. You can treat your virtual assistant like you're having a coffee date with your friend. Here they are, XYZ. What should we do about them? That actually empowers your virtual assistant, that they're involved in your business when you're asking for their opinion or their suggestions. They realize that, oh, I'm not just a machine doing XYZ tasks. I'm also helping my client strategize. So if you can involve your team or your virtual assistants in the decision making to a certain extent of certain parts of the operations, I think that's one way to train them. Yeah.
And if there's anyone out there that is not familiar with Loom, it is a free software package that lets you record everything that's happening on your computer screen. So if I were going to train somebody how to edit my videos, I would just open up Loom, say, record my screen. It says, what are we using for the camera? What are we using for the microphone? You just would say my computer screen, the internal microphone in my computer, or if you have something like this. And then you say, okay, here I am in my editing program. You go through it and you describe what you are doing. It saves it as a recording. And then you just send the link to them so they can watch the recording. That was always my thing. It will take me so long to explain to somebody how to do it. I may as well just do it myself. What if I just recorded myself doing it and described what I was doing as I went along? I would then send them the video. That's it. Hopefully, there may be a few times that we have to go back and forth to clarify. I wasn't really sure how you did blah, blah, blah. Can you go into a little bit more detail? But after that system is down, boom, we're done. And then tell me about your SOPs, because that is like amazing right there.
All our SOPs in the team, they start with a Loom video or a screencast from our clients. And then we don't automatically turn a Loom video or like a video instruction into an SOP. We kind of test it out first a couple of times. And then when we see, oh, this system is working, let's make a document with the steps. Sometimes I get asked, like, why not just record a new Loom video when the SOP changes? It's actually really difficult because by then you'd have to record every time something, even small things change, you'd have to record a new video, like how to do that. But if you have like a document where you can just record the steps, like first you click here, and then if this one is green, then you click the blue button. It's like a recipe book. You're teaching your virtual assistant or your future team members how to do certain tasks so that it's uniform all throughout. And guess what? In the unlikely event, and hopefully this doesn't happen, when your virtual assistant, the one that you've been working with for so long, that person knows your business like it's the back of her hand. If you have SOP documents of what your virtual assistant did, and then I'm hoping like maybe he or she wants to become a coach, because why not, right? Or they want to be an influencer or a YouTuber. And then they say, oh, I don't want to be a virtual assistant anymore. I'm trying this new career path. You would then have a list of like processes that your new virtual assistant can take over. And do you mind if I share a tip, Karin?
No, of course not. Please.
Okay. So when you have a virtual assistant working with you, or even before you hire a virtual assistant, set up a Gmail, like a free Gmail account, email address. It can be like karensteam@gmail.com. It can be that. Use that email account for the tools that you're using in your business, and make that email address an admin of the tools. That way, when you have a new virtual assistant taking over your task, you just give access to that one email. And then when the person decides they want to be a magician in Las Vegas and I don't want to be a virtual assistant anymore, I just want to perform. So if that happens, then you can just take over the email account and give it to another virtual assistant in training who has more capacity to do the same task. And guess what? You already have the instructions what your new virtual assistant is going to do. And it makes the training less strenuous on you as a business owner, because you're a newbie virtual assistant, but if you have a virtual assistant who is quickly picks up on things, the SOPs would like really help. In fact, you might even find out that virtual assistant sees like, oh, you know what? We can actually do this quicker. Do you mind if I do the suggestion? Like an outside perspective that your former virtual assistant didn't see. So it's really helpful to have SOPs.
Yes, that's a great tip. And if your virtual assistant gives you like 30 days notice, your VA could even train their replacement. Yes. And that was so hugely beneficial to me, was getting everything out of my head onto these standard operating procedures. So we had every process documented, and it's in our shared Google Drive. So now we've just got all of this stuff documented. And as you said, if you ever lose somebody on the team and you bring in somebody new, the idea is that they can read this document and be able to do it without even having to ask you any questions, because it's so clear. Yeah. So that leads me to another question. How do we reduce turnover? What's the best way to keep our VA? We find somebody who's amazing and we don't want them to leave. How do we keep them long term?
I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to this, but so far in our team, we've had team members who joined us and stayed for 4 years even. And then they decide to go a different path. And we send them off with love, because we know that's the right path for them. I guess the way we reduce turnover is just to treat your virtual assistant like a human being. That's it. They stick around, and they want to see you succeed in your business because they feel like they're part of it. And that's how I treat my team. I actually call my team my work family. And I have team members at 8point8 who have been with me for 10, 11 years. They've been working with me that long. I feel honored that they gave that chunk of time in their lifetime to be with me as a team member. It's because I treat them like a friend, like a family. And I involve them in the decision-making, where is the company going, treat them like a partner. That's it. That's how you reduce turnover. Because the more a person knows how important they are in your organization, they're more likely to stay.
Agreed. And I have found you were one of the very first VAs that I hired, and that's been easily 5 years at this point. Mm-hmm. I've only had to let one person go. And I think it was because when I was interviewing him, I thought he had a very specific skill set, but then when I turned him loose, He did not. I think he just misrepresented himself and what he was able to do.
Mhm.
So it became glaringly obvious in the first 2 weeks that he did not know what he was talking about. So I said, this was a mistake. We're just going to part ways now. I had a video editor who was with me for well over 2 years. And the only reason she left was because she decided to go back to college. Yeah, when you find the person who is the right fit for your team, if you, like you said, you treat them well, you pay them on time, you value their input, they're very loyal. They have no reason to want to leave. Like, this is a great gig that these people have. Why would they not want to continue to work for you if it's going well? And I remember when I first started working with you, it was like, how do I pay you? Because you're not a W-2 employee, you're a contractor, but you're in another country. And I know that you and I have gone through many iterations of what that looks like. And now we've settled on a specific thing. But tell me, like, how much would we expect for this to cost? And I will tell you flat out that the reason I went with people in the Philippines was because my dollar went a lot further than if I were to hire somebody locally. But then also, what platforms do we use to make the payments happen?
For us at 8point8, our platform is PayPal. It's just safer, and the transfers are on time, but you can also use Gusto. And Gusto is actually really good because you can like tie your accounting there. And Gusto already processes the documents that you need in order to hire or outsource work to someone who is not in the United States. So those two platforms are my like highest recommendations, PayPal or Gusto. And if your virtual assistant prefers direct bank transfer, that's okay too. Just make sure to get a receipt maybe, or like an acknowledgement that they received the payment. So yeah, I think those three are the top platforms. When it comes to the cost, set a budget for yourself for maybe the number of hours of outsourced work that you want to do in the month. And then I feel like you can start with a good rate would be maybe $600 to $700 a month. And then ask yourself how many hours you want to make out from that amount. So that's a good place to start. Maybe $600 per month, and then calculate how many hours you want to get from that amount. And then that will be your hourly rate for the virtual assistant that you're looking for. A good place to look for virtual assistants is because I'm Filipino and this is where we commonly hang out, onlinejobs.ph. So you can go there in that job board and look for someone who is around the hourly rate that you're looking at. For us here, though, at 8point8, we don't offer like project work, but we do offer prepaid plans. And we set it up so that our prepaid plans are only 3 months long. And then you pay first, and then you just consume the number of hours as you go. This actually helps some of their followers, Karin, because if you say you just started as a coach, and then you don't have that much work yet in your docket, when you have a prepaid plan, you can just assign work on demand and then consume those hours without ever being worried, getting bill shock at the end of the month, like, oh my gosh, this is the number of hours that I just consumed. But when you have prepaid hours, you know how much you're outsourcing, and you also know how much output you're getting from that amount, and then it helps you budget. I think what I would recommend is set a budget for yourself, how much you're willing to invest in one virtual assistant or a team of virtual assistants for a month, and then give that a try so that your expenses are more sustainable.
A lot of people are just so nervous to get started, but even if you could just delegate 2 or 3 hours a week, I know it sounds like very, very little, but if that's what it takes for you to get your feet wet with, now I see the benefits of delegating and outsourcing this to somebody else. And by the way, their slide deck looks 3 million times better than anything I would have ever created on my own. Now, let's see if I could bump that up to maybe to 5 hours a week and 10 hours a week. And then when you are able to, and I'm not an accountant, I am not an attorney, I'm not giving you advice, but what I've been told is that when this employee, this contractor is not in the United States, you do not have to 1099 them at the end of the year if you are in the United States, because they don't live in the United States. They are not paying US taxes. So it allows you to just pay them on a monthly, a weekly, whatever it is basis, without having to do all of that stuff at the end of the year when it comes to our taxes, which is a really great benefit. So if somebody wanted to hire 8point8, tell us how they would find you. Okay.
So you can just visit our website, 8point8.net, or Karin, you're going to put your affiliate link in the descriptions?
Yes, I will.
How do we make this? Okay. So you can just click the link in the descriptions of this video, or you can search 8point8 on Google. We are, or you can say 8point8 Virtual Assistant Team. We're also on Instagram, 8point8 VA Team. And you can check us out. We are 25 in a team right now. We are a salad of virtual assistants. And we try to stay in our own lane because it's just more fun doing things that you're good at.
I love it. And just give us a rundown of the different type of tasks and roles the people on your team can do for people.
Okay, so we specialize in helping coaches and online course creators. So we love building courses, creating thumbnails for your modules and lessons, processing videos, editing videos for your video tutorials, instructions. We can also help with graphic design, because I know those online courses that coaches make, they may need like a cheat sheet or a workbook or a questionnaire. So those need to be pretty and have to be on brand with your course. We help with anything and everything with course building. That's where we love putting in our work. So we can help with Kajabi. We can help with Thinkific. We can help with Teachable. So pretty much any course building platform our team can work with, or if it's a totally new platform, we can help figure it out with you.
And you can also do writing weekly newsletters. You can manage the CRM. You can
email marketing,
all of the email marketing with the tags and the segmenting and all of that stuff. You can do the social media management, like pretty much any administrative task in your business, a virtual assistant could do for you.
Yeah.
So how is the best way to communicate with your VA team? I know that when you and I first started, we were just messaging back and forth. And eventually I started using Trello, but I will admit that I was completely self-taught when it came to Trello. So I was probably using 1/10 of the actual features. And you were the one that taught me about labels and tagging and all of that stuff. And now it's made it so much easier. So explain to us how we would communicate with our VA team.
So Trello is actually a really good tool for task management. And Trello can be your main tool for keeping track of tasks. But you can also have a secondary tool for instant messaging. So if you want to communicate well with your VA, just stick to two. One tool that will help you manage tasks, and another tool where you can do instant messaging as a backup. And here's what I would not recommend. Don't communicate with your VA primarily on email, because it's going to be 1,000 emails with the reports and the revisions. It's super, super hard to keep track of tasks. The way our team works with clients is that we use Trello primarily. And when we need a client to get back to us about a certain task that has a card on Trello, we send an email and say, hey, we need your update or feedback on this one. And here's the link to the Trello card so that you can continue your conversation there.
I wanted to give a good example of using Trello, because what we did last summer when I redid my course, I thought was just brilliant. And it was not my idea at all. It was 100% your idea. So I decided I wanted to re-record all of the modules in my program. It had been several years. Things had changed. We needed to update it. Plus, I had lived in several different houses. I had different backgrounds. I had different equipment. I wanted it to be cohesive and look really nice. So I came up with a plan in Trello this is module 1. These are all of the different videos and PDFs and downloads and text, et cetera, that will be part of module 1. Module 2 is a different list. Module 3 was a different list. And you said, let's create labels. So one label says action needed from Karin. Another label said action needed from 8point8. So I would go and record the video. I would upload it to Google Drive. I would grab the URL, put it in the card, and then label it action needed from 8point8. And I would just write a little note that said, hey, I've recorded this video. It is ready to be edited. Now, when they log in, you can filter by all of the labels. Girl, that like blew my mind. I had no idea that you could do that because I was not a power user of Trello at that point.
Trello is amazing.
Right. Then when you were done with the first revision, you changed the label to action needed from Karin. And you said, here is the link to the first draft. All I had to do was click the link, watch the video, and I could say, this is great at the 1 minute and 27-second mark. The pause is too long. Could you shorten that up? Could you add a little bit of B-roll at this moment? Could you take out the part from here to here where I basically repeated myself? We don't need it. It's a duplicate. Just get rid of that altogether. I would then change the label back to action needed from you. You would make the revision. You would change the label back to action needed from me. Once it was done, I said, perfect. It's ready to be uploaded. We use Samcart as our course platform. You guys uploaded it to the correct module in the correct place. And we were able to, I think it took us 2 months from start to finish, if I remember right.
So.
From me outlining the new program, recording all of the new content, editing all of the content, uploading it, and then being able to roll it out to our customer base. It was so efficient. And when we released it and people started going through it, they're like, wow, this looks so good.
Yeah.
And it was all because we were using Trello at such a high level.
Yeah. And you can even add more labels there. For example, if you want to declare one of the tasks resolved, you can use maybe a green label that says completed. That way, all the labels that were green were no touch cards anymore because they're basically finished. And it looks so cool when you have like one whole column that would be all completed and you move all the cards there and say, whoa, look how productive we are. It's like a receipt for you having scaled your business. And even if you just look at that, it's a visual reminder that you are an organized business owner. So because if you can rebrand your course, it means that you can do the exact same thing and apply that system in your future amazing courses. And it would be so much easier because you have a task management app that you're paying for that cannot be revoked out of nowhere without any explanation. Like imagine doing that on social media, on the DMs. Is that even possible to manage tasks? Nope. So my recommendation is just pay even just the lowest plan. The lowest plan, that way the app or the service provider has a responsibility to your business or to you as the client to perform well and to maintain their servers and to maintain the service because you are a subscriber to them. You can't do that on a free platform, unfortunately. And it's also understandable because I've read this somewhere. I'm not sure where this came from, but it's a saying that said, if something is free, you are the product. So there you go.
100%.